So, Kitrina, nice to be in the studio with you.
Thank you, yeah.
Always a little sad to be indoors when there's a rare sunny day.
I know,
Clear
but
blue sky.
Freeze to death if we were outside at the moment.
It's true, an icy wind blowing in from the east, from Scandinavia. So we're going to play a couple of songs, have a little bit of a conversation around them today.
And you're going to start off with one of your songs.
Yeah, we'll start, I think, with the Blue Funnel Line, which was a song that was inspired by the life story interviews with one particular individual, a man in his late 60s at that time, living in an urban supported housing scheme in Bristol. But he originated from Liverpool, from Merseyside, where he grew up and where he worked, and where the title of the song comes from. The Blue Funnel Line was a shipping line, a merchant shipping line that sailed out of Merseyside around the world from the 50s through to the 1980s. And there was actually a series of different shipping lines with different coloured funnels. And this particular individual, Don, worked on the Blue Funnel Line, and I suppose the song came about after hearing his life story some months later and being affected by it. On the blue funnel line I set to sail. On the blue funnel line, left behind the grey Mersey, like my father before, his father before, fled poverty. As I waved from the deck, watched my mama wave back. One more man slipped from her grip. She tried to hold on, I was too strong. On the blue funnel line, I followed my will and was gone. First stop into Glasgow, take whiskey on board. It wasn't for sailors, but troops based abroad, through the Suez Canal to bunker in Hayden, then sail on. Colombo, Malaya, round Hong Kong, beer, women, good times rolled on. 3-month round trips, and 6 years since I'd left Mom. For the blue funnel line, I followed my will, now she's gone. Help me now. Ooh, 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 ooh. Don't know why I done it, could have been a look in her eye, but I married that girl, moved off the blue line. 2 kids pretty quick, but a sandblasting job's a bitch. By then we had lost it, whatever we'd had, so I do what I do. Whenever life gets sad, I never saw them again. Not her, and not the kids. On the blue funnel line, I followed my will. kind of fell into Bristol. No work in the north. I squatted with paddies. I drank wine in the park. We had battles on the goose green. Built bonfires after dark. 10 years on, I got tired of that. Quit drinking, I cleaned up and moved to this flat where I sleep with a light on and dream of a time still to come when I ride the blue funnel line. I'll follow my will, be gone. Gonna ride the blue funnel line, I'll follow my will.
Nice.
Oh, it's just amazing to play that. I still find it affecting. Something happens with the good songs, and you wonder then, is anyone going to get this? Is this just me? Or is anyone going to get it? And then you find they have, people being moved by it, affected by it when we've done it live. And then the YouTube version, the film that you've made of that, that's 13,000 views, and some of the testimonies there from people. It's like, okay, there's something going on here. More, it's not just for me.
So why this song now, and why in an autoethnography conference?
Yeah, I think there's two things with this one that just continue to intrigue me. It's 15 years ago since I wrote it. One is where the emotion comes from. So, it started with the transcript of a life history interview, and his story is powerful. The words he shared, but he told it deadpan. There was very little emotion in it for him. And I felt probably not that much emotion in the interview. It's been, we wrote a first person monologue from his interview transcript. We included that in the report for the funders. And the details, the facts, the events are very much as they are in the song. The song's massively distilled, maybe 200 words, whereas the story was maybe 2,000. And the transcript was maybe 20,000. But the details are still mostly there in the narrative of the song. But there's something else in the emotion, and where's that coming from? For me, is that in his story? Is that in my response to his story? Is that coming from my life experience? Is that simply coming from the music? And I don't know the answers to these questions, but I find it intriguing to reflect on.
And you said there were two things?
Yeah, and the second one was the process of writing with noise.
As opposed to just writing a text.
Yeah, so I can't write a story or an academic paper or a chapter with any noise. I have to have a silent environment. I can't
That's funny, isn't
put
it?
music on.
Yeah.
I can't go in a cafe work very often unless it's just white noise almost. But then when I'm writing a song, I have to have noise. I can't write. I've never written a song without music. Some writers talk about writing a song and then figuring out the chords.
Yes.
I've never done that. I have to have the instrument, the guitar usually for me, and I'm making a noise with it.
Yes.
And then something happens. And for this one, I guess something happened in the intersection of the words from his story. Many of the lyrics are his own words, close to how he spoke them. And then in the playing the guitar, in the singing of notes, the wordless sections of that song I find affecting still. There's no words there. It's noise, it's music, it's texture, it's sound, it's melody, harmony maybe. But that's important to this story for me. So the song has added something to his story, but it's impossible for me to say exactly what.
I think for me, what you've just said there resonates with my experience of songs, in that the bits without the words, without the lyrics, without the things that he said, I'm just really aware that I've been reading one of my students' ethics proposal, and she's saying, you know, I'm going to audio record it because it gets it more authentic, it gets their story.
Captures it.
Yes, exactly. And then the transcript is the exact words. The person is more than all of that.
Yeah. And the ethics of that come, you know, so, you know, the song is, it's beyond his story.
Yes.
You know, I think I introduced it today as the song being inspired by his story, because there was a gap of nearly a year between interviewing him and writing the song. Maybe it was a bit more even. So I am bringing things to it, and some elements of the story aren't what he shared. He didn't really talk about the regret that's in the song about leaving his partner, his wife, and his kids and never seeing them again. He actually didn't. He talked about never seeing them again. He told me that that's what happened, but there wasn't in his telling any emotion that I could discern. It's just done. It's in the past. But to me, I was moved by that. I don't have children. The thought of having children stirs up emotion for me. The thought of then having them and then never seeing them again. But I'm not actually thinking these things as I'm writing. It's all just in the whirl. You know, I'm just trying to make a noise that isn't awful, really.
And it's very difficult in the written text, if someone's reading just the story, to actually have time to feel and think those things. I suppose as a reader we stop reading and we take a pause, or if it's a stage production, the director will direct a pause.
Yeah.
But with the song, we provide the listener or the people that are sort of engaged with it an opportunity that is scripted for no script.
Space.
Yes.
Yeah, space to feel.
But something is happening within that space.
Yeah, there's sound, music happening, rhythm. It's keeping going.
And that particular sound and rhythm.
Yeah. And I think it's really through reading around somatic therapies, body psychotherapies, this idea that healing from trauma actually isn't an intellectual, cognitive, rational process. It might be helpful to talk, it might be helpful to reflect and think, but actually what people like Peter Levine, Bessel van der Kolk, Gabor Mate, what they're writing about is actually getting in touch with our bodies and our feelings and our senses, embodied memories. There aren't the right words for these things. And that for me has been therapeutically helpful. It's been some kind of healing through that, I think. And I think that's what's always happened with songwriting since my teens, is that the playing, the making of noise somehow allows me to connect with things I don't know I know, things I'm not yet in touch with, emotionally, spiritually, relationally, in terms of my own memories. So things that I'm not cognitively, consciously aware of. Like, there aren't the right words to say this, but the music's allowing that, and it's then a surprise when it's there in the song. Oh my goodness, I'm really moved by this. Something is in this, is affecting me, and look, other people are affected by this song too. And that's when Bruce Springsteen says, with songwriting, 1 + 1 = 3. That's right, that's the magic of it. But I don't understand it, and I would actually be very sceptical of anyone who told me they did. You know, but I love it. It's a good place for me to be. I wonder if we should move on to Gwydion Sands.
Yes, that was a song I wrote from an earlier piece of research that we were involved with women in Cornwall, looking at their physical activity primarily, but we kind of morphed to other aspects of their life, which for I think both of us is just as important than sort of staying narrowly focused on what the funder wants. Yeah. We build relationships with people, and then we work out the story to be told together, and then take some of the research.
Sometimes telling the funders or telling ourselves or the academic community that we're asking the wrong questions.
Yes, that's true. Yes.
So there's more going on here than physical activity and health.
Yes, yeah. This song Gwydion Sands was a surprise, I think, to me, and also sort of from an autoethnographic point of view. I think my first understanding of autoethnography is it's about your own life. And so my first stories that I told were really for a purpose. I had a point to make about golf. No, it isn't like that. Here's how I experienced it, and here's how others experienced it. So I wasn't trying to tell my story at this time. I was just on a cliff, and it's the rhythm, I think, that sort of captured something.
So when you said you weren't trying to tell your story, were you aware of trying to do something?
I don't think I was, no, not at that particular time. I was just singing songs on the cliff path.
Okay.
It was a morning like this, only it was slightly warmer and I could be outside. And I suppose I allowed my body a freedom just to enjoy playing music.
Yeah.
And I think that you've said also, when you have time alone with the guitar, that's the time that something that's been seeded is allowed an opportunity to come out. It was that type of thing.
So can you talk a bit about what happened?
Yes. So it started with this. And that to me is kind of, it's a rhythm, and it's speaking to my body, as you said. So I wasn't thinking about the woman that we just interviewed. I didn't have her transcript or field notes or anything like that. But I think both of us, when people tell us their stories, they're in our body in a way that I don't know that it's there.
I like that. That to me, it sounds immediately it's going somewhere. This is going somewhere from that you're playing. Paul Simon says that's what he needs to start in a song. He needs an opening that's where you're going like that, rather than like that. And that to me is an opening. Okay, this is something's happening now. I don't know what, but it's going somewhere. I sense that in what you just those two chords, that rhythm.
And then I suppose I've been very taken by what Arthur Frank says about that ontic space between ourselves and a participant, and it's a Greek word that means that which is, but you can't really define it. I think you talk about it as being a territory.
Right.
That's that space between us. Marcello and Claudio, they wrote the Betweener talk. So there's something that goes on when you're interviewing a participant and you're an autoethnographer. It's not about you, but there's a space that you're both in.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I like that.
And it's a collaborative thing that goes on there.
And the territory that's the territory you're in as you write a song. Potentially.
Yes. And it's part. Carolyn Ellis's and Art Bochner's work, autoethnography being a way of life. You never know what part of life you're going to find yourself in, and here I am with a woman, and here I am with, and many of the women that we talked about, and in my life as well, running is a theme. So this particular woman talked about dancing on the beach, and other women talked about dancing, and I run on the same beach where they dance. And in my body is calling us, and I think historically, women's lives, women's bodies, women's stories. And the girls come down to Gwythian Sands, leave your labour, leave your lands, come and run and dance with me, be the woman you want to be. Those lyrics.
That's the first verse.
Yes, that's what starts it all.
Yeah.
And then from that, at that moment when I'm just playing with that, I'm remembering one particular woman who said she couldn't get to the beach when the road was built, that she tried to get out of her work, and that she'd never learnt to write. And that her, it was a beautiful sunlit day, and a cloud went across the sun, and I felt cold in that moment, and I'm remembering her talking about her father's death, and I'm remembering my father's death, and sunlight came and went so fast. So the lyrics were giving me what I was experiencing in my body. But there's also when I played it to you, and what you added musically really meant a lot to me. So you play something right at the beginning when I play that.
Yes.
Where does that come from?
I think what you're doing with the words there, you're really painting a picture. I know that's a bit of a cliche, but it's a very much a landscape. a physical place that you're portraying in the words, less than a story. Blue Funnel Line is a real narrative story, a life story of events. You're evoking, it's more metaphorical, more evocative. So when you say about sunlight came and went so fast, that you're using a physical happening event that we've all experienced. If you live in England, especially, that it's creating a feeling. So I think if I'm trying to do anything other than just not mess it up, I don't want to mess up the song, which is really easy to do, and it's a lovely song. So I'd rather not play than cause problems, take away from it. If I'm going to try to add, I'm trying to sort of tune into that colour, I suppose.
Isn't that interesting, tuning into the colour?
Yeah.
Because I was talking to you earlier about, or I think maybe yesterday, about David Hockney, who famous artist, and one of his thing is perspective. And these little bits and the painting that you just described, me painting with the words, that gives us a different perspective to the actual life story that she shared. And that idea of assemblage and collage, it's bringing all of those things in that we can show a bigger, fuller awareness of someone's life.
Yes. So there's a lot more than the facts, a lot more than the events, a lot more than what happened to the person.
Yes.
I mean, that's now Elliot Eisner, isn't it? And his book with Tom Barone, suggesting that arts-based research is unique in offering the audience an experience.
Yes.
So it's not only representing an experience, it's creating the architecture that supports or even encourages an experience in those looking on.
I think that's what happened when we played it for students, when we sort of went to the different universities, and they said, now I understand my grandparents. There was something that went on, and many of them said, I thought that was really weird and funny, you coming into the lecture theatre with a guitar and a lot of these was physiotherapists, sports science students, and they described being sort of very resistant, and this isn't my type of music. And then they would write, and then. So there's something happening that gets through that clutter and the resistance and the expectations that we have of somebody singing a folk song or contemporary folk.
Yeah.
But for me, it's what you do that adds to it, that enriches it and brings extra colour. And when you're not playing with me, I miss those bits.
Yeah, okay, that's nice to hear. That's a good sign. Simon, that I used to play music with, record with for many years, would always be looking in the studio for the perfect overdub, the extra part that you can't now live without. So he's whatever he adds, it's good. It's a good philosophy, I think. It's like, add it. Is it working? Yes, I think so. Then take it away. Do you miss it?
Yes.
If you miss it, it's right. If you don't miss it, you don't need it.
And that, I suppose, happens with some of the research that I've done, where we haven't gone into the more creative process. I notice it's missing.
Okay, yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it. When we presented to our participants at the project that we're doing in Cornwall, we went back and we said, this is the report that we're sending to the funders, and this is a performance, and we did the performance, and they said, no, it's both. Yes, we see it's all both true and is a good take on our lives, but we prefer the performance.
Yeah, that just reminded that lovely book, Robin Wall Kimmerer, Braiding Sweetgrass. It's a classic, isn't it now? But she talks about indigenous understandings, that if we're to know and understand something, we need to understand it with all four aspects of our being. So not just our rational minds, our bodies, our emotions, our spirit, the whole. And that I can see happening when arts-based work, a song, when it works. I experience that all the time when I play records or go to gigs.
Yes.
The whole lot is all happening at once, and sometimes all within 3 minutes.
Yes.
And then it finishes in like, oh my God. That's why I could never go to the Glastonbury Festival, is there's days of this. One band is enough for me.
Yes.
I need, it's all, if it's worth seeing, my senses, everything.
Yes. That's what often happens at conferences. We get a binge on so many things. We wanted to spread it out over a longer time so we can digest it a little bit more. But I think that's what the spaces in the songs allow people in that moment to do, just to allow it to affect one's body while also still in it.
Having said that, I'm now wondering if we need to stop talking and give people a break, play the song and let them recover.
Girls, come down to Gwithian Sands. Leave your labour, leave your lands. Come and run and dance with me. Be the woman you want to be. Sunlight came and went so fast. Winter chill and farther past. Away to where the spirits be. Now what's gonna become of me? Mother worked for all she knew. She was proud and she stood true. Schoolmaster, he turned a blind eye, 'cause he knew he just couldn't get by. Young girl working on the line, small hands but she's doing fine. Working with men 4 times her age, but it means she gets a wage. Time moved on and she grew strong. Her brother, he was sent away to school. She never learned to write, but she's no fool. Girls, come down to Gwithian Sands. Leave your labour, leave your lands. Come and run and dance with me. Be the woman you want to be. Young men all went off to war, now in pain as well as poor. Sisters, come on and play your part, but all this killing ain't in my heart. Time moved on and she grew strong. Children of her own to feed, she never learned to write. Seems she's no need. Girls, come down to Gwithian Sands. Leave your labour, leave your lands. Come and run and dance with me. Be the woman you want to be. Barbara Green moved into town, mooing smoke and laying down. Tarmac on golden fields of hay. Now where my children gonna play? Time moved on and now she's not so strong, with a husband barely clings to life. She never learned to write. She's just a wife. Girls, come down to Gwithian Sands. Leave your labour, leave your lands. Come and run and dance with me. Let's be the we want to be.